Please like this video. It will really help this story reach as many people as possible. Thank you so much for your support. I got home late from a job site that ran long. I set my keys in the bowl, toes aching, dust still on my jeans. Jenna looked up from the couch and didn't even pause the show. She curled a lip. Nice. Must be fun ignoring your wife all night. City inspector stalled us. I answered, hanging my jacket. I texted. She waved the phone. I'm not your secretary. You're not wrong, I said, heading toward the kitchen. You're also not the inspector who locked a ladder in a room. That's who made me late. Or maybe you stopped for a drink with your little crew. Guys' night, huh? Must be a riot. No drink. I grabbed a gas station burrito so I wouldn't come in grouchy. It didn't help. She laughed under her breath. Tessa says that when men stay late, it's code for avoiding home. And Lauren says? I pulled milk from the fridge. That I baby you. She looked right through me. And I'm done doing that. I put the milk down, unopened. You heated up dinner? I'm not your mother. Then I guess the burrito was the right call. She turned the volume up. You see? You make jokes instead of being present. Present how? You want me sitting silent while you and your show tell me I'm failing. Try being interested. I'm interested in not stepping on landmines, I said, heading for the hallway. If we're just doing criticism tonight, I'm out of gas. Of course. Run away. Classic. I'm going to wash off drywall before it's in the sheets. I paused at the bedroom door. Good night, Jenna. She tossed. Save your good nights for your crew. I clicked off the light in the bathroom and stared into the mirror, paint speckled on my neck like confetti from a party I wasn't invited to. I hit the shower, laid down on my side of the bed, and watched the ceiling fan stumble through its slow circuit. How did it get here? We used to be easy. Now every sentence came wrapped in barbed wire. If I'd known where it was headed, I would have drawn lines sooner. In the morning, she acted like nothing had happened. Coffee was made, 2 mugs. She slid one over without looking up. Early start, she asked. County call at 7. I took the mug. You going in? Brunch with the girls. They had a rough week, she said, like it was duty. We're doing a thing for Lauren's new place. Again? You guys were out Tuesday. Tessa says bonding is important after a breakup. You and I aren't breaking up. She shrugged. Yet. I finished the coffee and left it at that. A man can light his own fuse or choose not to. 2 days later, the fuse got lit for me. We had neighbors in the yard for a barbecue. Jenna worked the fence line with a plastic smile while I flipped burgers and swapped dad jokes with Nick from down the street. Jenna drifted close, just as Nick said. Mark's the guy you call when your deck sags. He's solid. Jenna snorted. Oh, he's solid. Set in his ways, at least. Nick chuckled, not sure if it was safe. I kept my eyes on the grill. You got notes. Charge me by the hour. Notes? She took a sip of seltzer. Like how your big plan to fix the sink took 3 weeks. That kind of notes. Was waiting on a part. Right? The magical part that only appears when I nag. Jenna, I said evenly, we're hosting. Don't worry. He loves an audience, she told Nick. He'll give you his whole lecture on patience. Nick cleared his throat. I'm gonna grab the coleslaw. He moved off. I turned the burners down. You need to put me down. Do it after people leave. Or what? You'll take away my seltzer? I'll take away the stage. She laughed. Sorry, coach. The stage is my life. I plated the burgers and set them on the table. Stage is closed. Dinner's ready. Her eyes narrowed. Then she switched gears in a heartbeat. Voice sugared. Eat up, everybody. Mark did his famous dry burger thing. People chuckled because they didn't know where to put their faces. I passed plates, went quiet, made a mental note. Signal received. My move was next. At 10, the guests were gone. Jenna stacked cups with the grace of a person preparing for court. You didn't have to go silent, she said. I did it for your safety, I answered, bagging trash. So I didn't say what I was thinking. Oh, big threat. Not a threat. Policy. From now on, public digs have a cost. What cost? She leaned on the island, daring me. I'm out on your brunches, your wine nights, your couples game evenings. If the ticket price is me getting clowned, I'm not buying. She rolled her eyes. Don't be dramatic. It's an adult boundary. We can host like adults, or we can take a break from hosting. So I'm grounded. Call it what you want. I'm not your showpiece. I tied the trash. And the house budget's going split view. I'll cover mortgage and utilities. You'll handle your personal spending. We'll settle the joint extras Sunday night like we used to before this became a carnival. You're punishing me with spreadsheets? I'm in gray areas. We'll both be happier when numbers match words. She laughed, then saw I wasn't joking. You're serious. Dead sober. She smirked. Tessa would have a field day with this. Tell her to bill me. She let that hang. Then, first soft turn, Jenna walked around the island and brushed my arm. Look, it was a joke. Maybe I went over. Maybe. I raised an eyebrow. Fine. I went over. You can be stiff sometimes. I poke so you loosen up. That's all. Come on, don't go nuclear over backyard chatter. Not nuclear. Just off the guest list for a bit. She gave a plain nice smile. Okay, no more jabs at parties. Can we not turn our kitchen into a meeting room? We could try being a married couple in it. Deal, she said and kissed my cheek. You're impossible, you know. I prefer reliable. She patted my chest and floated off to her phone. I watched the quick pivot and logged it. Illusion of change. Noted. I still followed through. The next weekend, when she floated the idea of a wine mixer at Lauren's, I passed. You're really not coming? She said, hand on the doorknob. I meant what I said. You're punishing me, she repeated. I'm choosing where to spend time. She scoffed, sent a few messages, and left. At 10 p.m. I got a text. You made your point. Want me to bring anything home? I wrote back. Bring yourself, sober. She came in clean and polite, slid into bed without a word. We were civil for 2 days. Then the crew showed up again. Tessa with the never-ending stories of liberation, and Lauren staging her new, independent life in a townhouse that still smelled like fresh paint. Jenna was glued to them like they were a board of directors. She'd spend hours with their commentary, come home, and try edits on me. Tuesday night, I walked in with Thai takeout and found her on a video chat propped up on a stack of cookbooks, Tessa framed like a news anchor. Tessa said through the screen, "Men will do only what you allow." Jenna noticed me. "We can talk later. This is important." I set the takeout down. "I'll heat my own." Tessa's voice kept spilling into the kitchen. "You have to train them. Standards." I looked at Jenna. "End the call or take it to the bedroom." "Excuse me." She pinched the phone, but left it face up. "We're in the middle of something. You're in the middle of explaining me to someone who doesn't live here." "Don't be paranoid," Tessa chimed. "We're just supporting friends." I spoke to the rectangle. "Tessa, you've never met me, but you have a lot of opinions. I'm not a training project." "Wow," Tessa said. "Defensive. Classic." I turned to Jenna. "Choose where your loyalty sits." Jenna held my stare for a beat, then hit mute and slid the phone toward the fruit bowl like that counted as compromise. Second soft turn, another act. "I'll call you back," she told Tessa. Mark's being Mark. I didn't push harder. I heated my food and ate at the counter. Jenna sat across from me, arms folded. Let me pause the story for just a second. If you're still listening, please hit the like button on this video. It really helps YouTube show this story to more people. Thank you so much for the support. Now let's get back to the story. "You could have handled that better," she said. "So could you. You don't get to control who I talk to." "Never said I do. But I control where I spend myself. If I'm reduced to a case study, I'm out." "Oh, please. You love being right." "I love being respected." She blew air through her nose, checked the screen, unmuted, and waved. "Sorry, where were we?" "Yes, boundaries." I took my plate to the sink. A switch flipped for me then. Enough speeches. Next morning, I acted. I left before sunrise and texted Jenna a simple note. Taking Friday and the next Friday for overtime, picking up a side project. I'll be back late. Groceries ordered for you. Budget transfer scheduled Sunday. See you then. She responded around 8:30. "Since when do you work late 2 Fridays in a row?" "Since it keeps me out of the audience," I wrote. "Cute," she sent back. "Tessa says keeping busy is how men hide." "Then have your club audit my timesheets," I replied. That weekend, I moved another chess piece. I took our joint card out of my wallet and set it in the drawer with a note. "Use for house only." I ordered a second bank account for my side work. Not secrecy, structure. Jenna found the envelope from the bank on the counter and tapped it with her finger. "What's this?" "New work account." "For what reason?" "So your friends don't think I'm hiding." "Not funny." "Clearer this way." "You're really separating everything?" "Not everything. It feels like everything. Feels like clarity." She folded her arms. "You talk like a contract. I build things. We like clean lines." She lifted her chin. Tessa says if a man wants to separate money, he's preparing to leave. She sees a lot of leaving. Jenna shook her head like I was missing a joke only she could hear. She sees reality. Then let reality pay your personal outings, I said, rinsing my coffee mug. I'll keep the roof over us. Hear how controlling that sounds. See how responsible it is. 2 nights later, the fight that blew the doors off started with nothing. She was hunched over her phone, again. I set down 2 tickets to a small concert I'd planned weeks ago. Let's go Saturday, I said. Haven't been out, just us, in months. She glanced at the tickets like they were parking citations. Oh, that night won't work. What night does work? Lauren booked a lake house for the weekend, she said, voice light like it was obvious. We're doing a girls' thing. We're doing a marriage thing. Tessa thinks it's healthy to prioritize friendships. I think it's healthy to prioritize your spouse. That used to be on your list. That list changes as you learn. Then learn this. I slid the tickets back into the envelope. I'm not waiting at home anymore while you audition for applause. God, you're dramatic. I'm practical. Saturday, I'll be using my own time, my own plans. You do the same. She snorted. You think taking yourself out is a power move? It's a courtesy. I'm removing myself from your game. She tilted her head with a nasty little smile I recognized from her friends' faces. You know what I regret? No, but I know what I'm about to. I regret not listening to my friends and marrying you. There it was, clean through the center. I breathed once. Then go join your divorce club, I answered, voice flat. I'm done with what's happening here. She blinked, not believing I'd said it so plain. What does that even mean? It means I'm packing a bag. Don't be ridiculous. I walked past her to the closet and pulled a suitcase from the top shelf. The zipper teeth made a clear sound in the quiet room. She leaned on the doorframe and watched like it was a show she'd already seen. You're not serious, she said. I folded shirts, jeans, work boots. Serious enough to stop talking about it. She went to the kitchen, poured tea, and sat tall at the table like a queen on a coin. No apology, no chase, just posture. I loaded a shaving kit, closed drawers, and took one last look at the house I had framed, painted, sweated over. I'll be at the duplex we use for overflow, I told her. You have the place. Keep it tidy. So you're what running? No. Resetting. Mark, she called as I reached for the door. You're going to feel very lonely without me. We'll see. She lifted the mug deliberately. Don't slam the door. I didn't. I walked down the steps, tossed my bag in the truck, and drove to the duplex across town. I set my stuff in the spare room amid stacked boxes and a folding table. There was a sagging couch, a coffee maker, and quiet. I slept. At 7 the next morning, I took a long breath and drove to the county office. On my lunch break, I stopped by a notary near the courthouse and filled out paperwork. Simple, cold, clean. Afterward, I called the bank and removed her from the work account and the card she used for personal buys. I left the mortgage account alone. Roof stays solid, nonsense stops. By dinner time, she had noticed. My phone buzzed so much it hummed on the counter. Cooled off? You made a scene. We can fix this if you apologize for the performance. I put the phone face down and ate chili. She kept going. Don't be a child. You're mad because I have a life. Grow up. Say you were out of line and we reset. I didn't reply. Not my game. Thursday, she upped the volume. Your silent treatment is cruel. Nick says real men talk things through. Yes, I told him. At least someone cares. Text me when you're done sulking. Still nothing. Friday, nothing. Saturday, you look petty, Mark. This is on you. Your friends will see it. She went public like I figured she would. I didn't take the bait. A week passed. My phone lit up with calls. I let them roll to voicemail. Then I made a mistake. I tapped answer by accident when it vibrated on the table and my thumb slipped. Finally, Jenna snapped. What did you do with the money? Hello to you too. Why can't I withdraw from the card? It's declined every place. Did you block me? I blocked your access to my earnings, I said, walking to the window. Mortgage is covered. Lights are on. Your personal spending isn't my responsibility anymore. Unblock it, she demanded. I have plans. I'm sure you do. I'm going to the beach with the girls next week. Everyone bought tickets, but me. I need to pay today. Ask your dear friends to buy you a ticket. You're disgusting right now. I'm consistent. Don't call me again, I said, and hung up. She texted for days. The blast took a new tone. So you're proud? Everyone knows you're cheap. My mother says you've always been tight. Tessa says your ego can't handle a strong woman. I ignored all of it. Emotion is a fish hook. I'm not bait. A month ran by. Work was almost peaceful. The duplex smelled like coffee and sawdust, which is how peace smells to men like me. We had a new hire, Luis, who asked the right questions and didn't mind cleaning up after himself. My foreman Rick, a 40-year carpenter with a dry sense of humor, watched me one morning as we loaded a truck. "You look lighter," he said, squinting. I stopped arguing with the committee. He barked a laugh. Best habit I ever learned. That afternoon, a courier dropped a thick envelope at Jenna's address. The divorce papers. I know because her messages went from petty to furious inside an hour. "You filed? You really filed? You are out of your mind. Answer me." I didn't. The next morning, my phone buzzed nonstop. At lunch, she moved the fight to my territory. I stepped out of the job trailer, and there she was in our lot, dark glasses, arms crossed, broadcasting a scene to whoever would look. Rick tipped his hat as he passed her and gave me a look that asked, "Need me?" "I've got it," I told him. Jenna took off the glasses. "We are not doing this. We already did. You're not ending this over a few comments. You're ending this by living from your friend's script." She looked around, spotting our guys moving lumber. She lowered her voice and came closer. "We can talk. Just us." "There's nothing to talk about. So you won't even hear me?" Her mouth trembled, then steadied. "You made me the bad guy to everyone." "I said nothing to anyone," I replied. "You did that yourself." She stepped back, went from plea to push in a second, old pattern. "You're a coward. Real men don't bolt. You filed to scare me. I filed because I don't negotiate respect." "You're going to regret this," she said. I already regretted staying as long as I did. The foreman's shadow fell near us. Rick stood a polite distance away, pretending to check his clipboard, but his presence drew a line. Jenna saw she had an audience she hadn't chosen. The old playbook faltered. Her voice softened, second illusion, heavy-handed. "I was angry," she said. "It got out of hand. I didn't mean half of it. I miss you." "No, you miss control," I answered. "That's unfair." "It's accurate." She took a breath. "We can go to counseling." She swallowed the next word, picked a new one. "I'll try." "You didn't want to try," I said. "You wanted to train." "That's Tessa's phrasing, not mine." "It became yours." She reached for my arm. I watched her hand stop short, hover, drop. "Please, Mark. Don't throw us away." I turned, started toward the trailer. "Take care, Jenna." Her voice chased me. "So that's it. Years together, and you walk off." I stopped and looked back at her once. "Yes. And hear me right. You don't get to pop up at my work again." She blinked like I'd slapped her with water. "Or what? Or I'll make it official that you're not welcome on my sites. This is my world, and you don't get to twist it too." She stood there, stuck between fury and panic, then said the quiet part she'd hoped not to say in public. "I can't afford to live without you." "That's the truth you should have told yourself before you turned me into your hobby," I said calmly. "Goodbye, Jenna." I went back inside. Rick didn't say a word, just passed me a pen. He knew enough to leave a man his dignity. 2 months later, the key turned easy in my own front door again. The place was quiet, clean, a little empty in a good way. Our old guest room held 2 boxes of her things neatly labeled and scheduled for pickup by her sister. I walked the house the way a farmer walks a fence after a storm. The floor still held. The sink didn't leak. The fan still wobbled. Small stuff, mine to fix in my time. I rolled fresh paint over a scuff in the hall and felt the kind of satisfaction you only get after you stop explaining yourself to people who don't want to hear. The phone rang that evening. It was Marcy, a neighbor who sees everything through a kitchen window and keeps most of it to herself. She moved out last week, Marcy reported like a weather forecast. Left a bag on the curb. Her sister picked it up. "Thanks for the update." "You doing okay?" she asked. "I'm good." "Good," she said, and meant it. "I always thought you were more solid than all that drama." "Solid is my brand," I said. A few days later, my buddy Ethan dragged me to a Saturday morning cars and coffee thing. We stood around a row of polished or barely running machines, and I met a woman named Claire who had grease on her knuckles and a laugh that didn't ask permission. She asked, "You working on anything fun?" and meant actual work, not gossip. We talked about engines. She didn't ask for my saga. I didn't give it. We swapped numbers, slow, clean, No pressure. That's how grown people do it. A week after that, Nick stopped by my site with a 12-pack of sparkling water and the expression of a man who doesn't know which side to stand on. She's been saying things, he started. I figured. She told people you cut her off to punish her. I cut her off to cut the noise. He scratched his jaw. She also said the girls are planning trips without her now. They were always planning trips. I just stopped funding the audience. Nick shifted. You want me to say anything when she brings it up? No. Let silence do the work. He nodded. You're calmer than I'd be. Calm keeps you from stepping in buckets. A month later, Ethan handed me a photo on his phone. It was Jenna at a strip mall cafe, hair pulled back, working behind a counter. She's doing part-time, he said, tone neutral. Good for her. She's also renting on Maple, he added. Small place. Heard it from the guy I play hoops with. He's her landlord. Noted. Her friends? He asked. I don't see them with her anymore. Of course not. You can't sit long at a table if you can't pay for the chairs. He grunted at that. Earned humor, not spite. I poured us both coffee. We didn't toast to anything. We just drank it. One afternoon, out of habit or curiosity, I scrolled through social media and saw a picture of the famous trio. Tessa tagged at a resort, Lauren at the lake again, sun with a filter. Every caption read like a slogan. No Jenna. No shared heart emoji. Empty space where she used to be in their lineup. I put the phone down and went back to real life. Real life looked like early mornings and a tidy budget that matched my values. It looked like dinner with Claire at a diner where the waitress refilled our cups before we asked and didn't eavesdrop. It looked like Luis learning a clean cut on crown molding and grinning like a kid when he nailed it. It looked like me taking the truck upstate on a weekend and standing by water that didn't ask me questions. Call that loneliness if you like. I call it quiet. I did get one more message, hand-delivered, indirect. Jenna's cousin Sarah ran into me at the hardware store and made a whole show of bumping her card into mine. You two were a shock, Sarah said, lowering her voice like the bags of screws might judge. She's struggling. Hard things teach, I said. Sarah pursed her lips. She says you were cold. I was clear. She says you locked her out of the life you built together. I locked her out of the insults. There's a difference. Sarah didn't have a good comeback. She pushed her cart, stopped. She misses the house, she muttered. People miss the sofa after they spill on it, I said, and that was the end of the conversation. A man doesn't have to explain a sofa analogy. We both knew what it meant. There's one moment I keep replaying, not the fights. Those blur. It's the night I walked back into my house the second time, alone on purpose, and pressed my palm to the doorframe I milled myself. The wood felt the same as it did the day I hung it. The frame doesn't care about opinions. It cares about force and fit. Life is like that. You make room for what fits. You don't shave your edges to match someone else's blueprint. People ask sometimes, would you do anything different? Sure. I would have stepped in earlier with the boring stuff, schedules, money time, the unglamorous boundaries. I would have made it clear from the start that outside commentary doesn't live rent-free in my kitchen. But men like me learn by impact. I learned, then I acted. Not fury, function. The last words I said to Jenna in person were at that job site, and I stand by them. She wanted a stage. I closed the theater. Now the only audience I play to is my own standard. Claire and I took a small trip last month. Nothing flashy, just a cabin off a county road where the bed was built better than most. We ate sandwiches, fixed a wobbly chair for the owner, and watched rain soak the gravel. On Sunday, I backed the truck out, looked at the house in the rear view, and thought, this is what partnership looks like to me. Not a jury, not a class. Two adults who don't need a club to tell them what's right. As for Jenna, I don't check. A neighbor said she's sharing a rental with another woman now, commuting to a job that pays by the hour. No shame in that. Work is work. But she's not at lake houses and brunches every other day, and the people who pushed her hardest disappeared the minute she couldn't fund the push. That's not a verdict. That's a fact. She played to their approval until the applause cost her more than she had. When the bill came due, they found new shows. I kept my line. I covered the roof, cut the noise, fixed the sink for myself on a Tuesday because I felt like it, and the part arrived when it arrived. I don't owe anyone a performance. If a man listening to this is waiting for a big permission slip to set a boundary, here it is written on a sheet of plywood. You don't have to be mean, but you do have to be firm. You don't have to make speeches. Just act. Close the stage, change the schedule, separate the accounts, end the endless meetings. Make it practical. Quiet is a better soundtrack than drama. That night she threw the line about regretting me. She expected me to argue her into loving me again. I didn't. I packed. She took a dignified sip of tea and pretended it was nothing until her card got denied and a trip vanished. Then the script ran out of pages. That's where you find out what's real. What's real for me lives in this house now. It's in the way Claire texts me a photo of a half-finished bookshelf and asks, "This look right?" It's in Rick slapping a set of keys in my hand and saying, "Take the newer truck. You've earned it." It's in me sleeping all night without a phone buzzing on the nightstand like a siren. I didn't win. I ended a game I had no interest in playing. I fixed the fan the next weekend. It no longer wobbles. That's the only metaphor I'll allow. The rest is lumber and screws and time used well. Our story has come to an end. If you've made it this far, how about subscribing to our channel? It helps us immensely. I've selected 2 other videos for you that I'm sure you'll enjoy. Feel free to click on them. I'll be waiting for you in the next story. See you soon.